Welcome back to the Daily Drum on WHUR and Sirius XM Channel 141. This is the Insight segment. I'm Harold Fisher. Tonight, we go one-on-one with Prince George's County Executive Aisha Braveboy, and we have a lot to talk about tonight. The county is leading the state in traffic fatalities. We're going to talk about what's being done to address that. Is DC's federal police takeover spilling over into the county? And how is the countywide beautification effort going? We'll talk about those issues and others as County Executive Braveboy nears her first 100 days in office. She joins us now for the conversation. Madam County Executive, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. I want to first talk about some things that are happening today. Certainly, you are aware of the mass shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota at a Catholic school. When you hear about those kinds of things, what comes to mind when you think about Prince George's County school safety?
First of all, let me just say that my heart goes out to the families, everyone involved in the incident, the really tragic incident that occurred earlier today in Minneapolis. I think that because we've heard so many of these stories, and they're very similar. Children at school getting an education, a gunman comes in, fires, kills students, injures others. It's a story. It's an American story, and in so many ways, a uniquely American story that we've had so many of these incidents in such a short period of time affecting the youngest among us. And so in Prince George's County, we have implemented metal detectors at our middle schools and high schools. And we do our best to stay up to date on technology and any new AI technology or other technology that we can find to protect our residents. We are going to implement. But at the end of the day, it's really about a larger conversation around policy. How weapons are made, who gets to make them, who gets to have these weapons. There are too many weapons, in the hands of people who should not have them. Young people, people who are not of age to carry a weapon, they're carrying weapons, they're using them. People who have mental health issues get weapons and unfortunately use them in ways that create tragic outcomes, whether it's suicide or homicide, or sometimes it's, homicide and suicide all in one. I mean, these are the issues that in so many ways, I believe we need to take the politics out of it to really address. Does someone need a high-powered weapon? Do you need those clicks that will turn a regular handgun into an automatic handgun? Where is the efficacy in gun manufacturing, and how states provide opportunities for people to own weapons? Because it's really important that it should not, it's a right in so many ways for people who are of age, but it also in so many ways has to be considered a privilege too, because people who have shown that they cannot use weapons safely should not be allowed to be in possession of them. And certainly young people cannot and should not possess weapons, but they do. And again, we've seen far too many of these tragedies.
Let me ask you, have you spoken to the Prince George's County Police Chief this morning in the wake of this incident? And are there any measures being taken in the event of, copycats, and the like? Is that something that you have considered just for today or this week?
Well, we always talk about these incidents. Our normal meetings for our crime meetings are on Thursdays. But he's dealing with some matters this morning. And of course, yesterday evening, we were together because we had a tragic incident where a young mother was killed in a car accident where teenagers were involved. We believe in a stolen vehicle, ran through a stoplight and crashed into this innocent mother's car. The mother was in her car with one of her children. Thankfully and prayerfully, the child who was in the car was injured, but those injuries were not life-threatening, so that child will be okay physically, but mentally, emotionally, her family is suffering. I was there. I was on scene to embrace and hold her sister, her brother, who just lost their sister in such a tragic way. She was on her way to pick up her school-age daughter. And for this to happen on the first day of school, when, like most parents, they're excited to hear about their child's first day. And I'm sure she was excited. She was on her way to pick up her daughter. And unfortunately, she never made it. So we were together last night. That was a very sad incident.
As it relates to traffic fatalities, last night's incident followed an incident last week where the two women were killed on Landover Road near the Wegman Shopping Center area. Speed is said to have been a factor in that crash, different from yesterday where there was a stolen car involved. But what do you believe is driving the fatalities on the road in Prince George's right now?
I think it's risky behavior. People who are engaged in risky behavior, whether it is involving a stolen vehicle or just speed. There's nowhere you have to get to that's so important that you're risking your life and everyone's life on the roadway. And I think people, honestly, if I'm to speak on, it's selfish. It's selfishness. It's people who think they're invincible. They're out here on the roadways in these vehicles that, again, these are machines. These vehicles are machines. And when you drive them, you have to pay attention. You have to be in control. And quite frankly, driving now is a actual privilege. You don't have a right to drive. It is a privilege. And some people really don't respect that privilege enough. But again, I mean, these are tragic accidents. I don't want to politicize them. I don't want to make light of them. But what I will say is that I believe it's human beings making decisions that benefit them without a care for others. And that's the problem I have with these types of accidents, because oftentimes they involve people who have no criminal history. Now, in this case, with the teens with the stolen car, that's an issue. But oftentimes, having been a state's attorney, my office tried several of these cases. And for the most part, the at-fault driver didn't have a criminal history at all, or very, very minimal criminal history, or maybe had a history of, maybe a couple of traffic incidents, but nothing significant. So these are people who are otherwise law-abiding citizens, oftentimes making decisions in their own interest at the moment, but that have tragic consequences in the long run. So, I think we can do a lot around messaging, putting up those message boards to remind people to be safe on the roadways. I think there are ways that we can partner with the media, with your community, to get the message out that way. But ultimately, it's human behavior that has to change.
Do you believe that more speed cameras with more punitive financial penalties? For example, as you may know, Arlington has just installed last week 10 new speed cameras in school zones. The fine is $100 Do you believe that in order to get people to slow down, that is an option, or do you have any other ideas or thoughts about how to address it?
I think it absolutely can be an option. I can tell you that in my neighborhood, we have a neighborhood school and there's a speed camera there. And I believe that that has helped to slow traffic down in the neighborhood. And I think that there are areas where that can work. I mean, we'd have to really go back to the legislature because there's speed zones around schools, but not necessarily everywhere, right? So we would have to go back to the legislature to see if we can expand the use of speed cameras. There are some on, I believe, on 210 that has helped in some ways calm traffic there. But ultimately, they're not going to be everywhere, right? And people have to take personal responsibility. But I absolutely would advocate for all of the above approach, which is yes, we can look at increasing our use and expanding our use of speed cameras, increasing fines and penalties associated with it. But ultimately, we just really got to get the message to people that their life is more important than wherever they have to go. Yeah.
Let me ask you about the federal takeover of the Metropolitan Police Department. What are your thoughts about that action, and what concerns, if any, do you have about the impact on Prince George's County?
I think that, if the federal government wants to help local jurisdictions to improve public safety, they can do so in a way that is not accusatory or combative with local elected officials. I think the way in which we need to approach public safety is a unified approach, and that's something that we have, I think, demonstrated here in the state of Maryland. I remembered when our governor came into office, Wes Moore. I was state's attorney at the time, and he said, "Hey, how can I work with you? How can I help you do your job more effectively?" And I asked him for resources, for family engagement, because we were seeing a lot of young people who were broken, but they also had broken families, and we wanted to support that family unit. And he was able to provide resources to stand up our first Family Justice Academy in Prince George's County. We also worked very collaboratively with our federal partners in prosecuting gun cases. We were able to get money from the state to hire attorneys who worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office, but worked for us too, so that we were collaborating with our federal partners in prosecutions. And of course, we work very closely with Maryland State Police. We have seen some of the largest decreases in the most concerning categories of crime that I've seen in my, tenure in politics. We have an over 60% decrease in carjackings. We have a 39% decrease in homicides. Every major category of crime that's most concerning to us is down. And that's because of the concerted effort that we had to collaborate, to be efficient, effective, deliberate, and intentional. And I think that the federal government can be helpful if they want to be a partner. I think what's not helpful is to set up scenarios that are not sustainable. It is not sustainable to keep National Guard troops from around the country in DC indefinitely. So at some point, they're going to leave. Then what? What else will DC have other than a period where thousands of troops from around the country descended upon what is a relatively small area of our country for a short period of time? There's no long-lasting partnerships or relationships, programs, initiatives, infrastructure. They're not offering, at least from what I can hear and see and what they're saying, they're not offering any long-term solutions, just a short-term fix to say that we were patrolling the streets and crime is down. And again, that's not necessarily sustainable.
I want to continue with that point in just a bit, but I do need to take just a very short break. We want to remind our listeners that this conversation will continue on Sirius XM, channel 141. The Original Quiet Storm with Raheem Devon is next on WHUR-FM. We'll be back in just a bit. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. We continue our conversation about all things Prince George's County with County Executive Aisha Braveboy. Before the break, we were talking about the federal takeover in Washington, D.C. Are you concerned that that takeover may push some criminal elements across the border into Prince George's County?
Certainly, that is a concern. So far, we have not seen any changes really in our crime patterns. We also haven't seen, which we thought may be also a problem, a rise in homelessness as the administration indicates that they want to move all homeless people out of the District of Columbia. So we are monitoring those things. And so far, we have not seen an increase. But again, we're continuing to monitor. We have great relationships with our district partners, with Chief Smith, with, of course, our mayor. So they have been very open in helping us understand what is happening on the ground so that we can be prepared. But we have a true partnership, with the District of Columbia. And we want to continue that partnership. It's partnership. It's important to both us and the district that the district feels empowered to be able to take care of its people and to work with neighboring jurisdictions on investigations, on initiatives around crime suppression. And we have to feel like that we're all empowered to do our jobs.
Mm-hmm. What are you telling the county's immigrant community as it relates to the ICE arrests? Some would call them raids. The Kilmar Abrego Garcia case is a Prince George's County case, and certainly we have seen across the region, not just the Latino community, but there are other immigrants, documented or otherwise, in Prince George's County who are being impacted by these actions.
When Mr. Abrego Garcia was originally arrested, he was arrested in Baltimore, in the Baltimore area, but his residence is here in Prince George's County. And so he's a Prince Georgian. And so I have been very outspoken on him receiving due process. I don't know Mr. Abrego Garcia personally, and so I'm not going to opine on who he is as a person. All I can tell you is that if he's in this country, he has certain rights and rights that we all have to respect, whether we like it or not. And that includes the federal government. And so what I have said is that we will abide by the law. I still believe in the Constitution. I'm a lawyer, and I'm going to abide by court orders and our Constitution, and I respect the rights of people. The immigrant community in Prince George's County, I believe, understands that, knows that. One of the concerns we had was around student attendance, because for those immigrant families who were concerned about sending their children to school, this would be a test on how they feel about the government and being protected here in our jurisdiction. And so we did not see any significant, attendance issues, at least on the first day. So we'll be monitoring that throughout the next few months. but we're hopeful that the message is getting out. I'm certainly sending it. Our school system is sending it, that same message. Our Department of Social Services and Family Services and the health department are all sending that message. So I think they're hearing it from multiple places. And I believe our immigrant community feel as safe as they can, right? I mean, we don't control the federal government. We don't control ICE. We don't know when they're coming in or if they're coming into our communities. But so far, I feel like we've done a good job of reassuring our immigrant community that they're safe here in Prince George's County.
Are you worried that they may begin to start showing up at school or trying to enter schools?
I'm not necessarily concerned about them trying to enter schools because, number one, we haven't seen that really. But what I am concerned about is, uh, their parents, places where they may work in or outside of Prince George's County. We have a lot of Prince Georgians who work in the District of Columbia. So, some of those jobs, assignments will put them in places and spaces where they may encounter ICE. And I think that's very concerning. I have a friend who works in the restaurant industry, and they shared that in DC, some staff, they're not showing up at restaurants and at hotels because they're very concerned about ICE. So it is frustrating because that means that there are families who are going to go without the needed resources that they make on these jobs because they're afraid to go to their job.
As it relates to the youth curfew at National Harbor, do you think that it is still working? Do you plan on continuing the curfew beyond the summer?
Yeah, I think it does work. I think we have to send a very strong message to parents that they cannot allow that. Look, National Harbor is not a daycare, right? It is not aftercare for your children. If your children want to be in a structured, organized place where they can enjoy themselves, we have rec centers, we have community centers, we have places for our children to go. But sending them to, a place of business where they are not conducting business is not helpful, number one, to the businesses in that area. And it's not helpful to the kids because oftentimes they're getting into trouble. Even kids who are going down there for good reasons, they're being exposed to things, fights, arguments, all these things that they don't need to be exposed to just because they simply are in the wrong place. Well, I shouldn't say the wrong place. They're exposed to the wrong elements, maybe in the right place, which means you need to be with your kids. If your kids want to be in National Harbor, you need to be with them too. We have a lot of concerns, I believe, about parents who are somewhat absentee. They think that their kids can make good decisions, so they trust them. But these kids, when they get around each other, oftentimes they're not making good decisions. They're making bad decisions. And it only takes a couple of kids making bad decisions to turn into a tragedy or something that they just don't need to be exposed to. So protect your children. They are children. They need to be protected. They need to be supervised. They need your guidance and your support, parents. I think the curfew has been helpful. I think we haven't seen the incidents that we have seen in the past. And I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I think we'll continue on with the curfew.
I want to talk a little bit about your initiative to beautify the county and to address litter. You made it a priority. Why is this issue so important to you personally?
I live here. I live in Prince George's County, and I want my county to be beautiful. I know that it is. I know the people here. We have some of the greatest people in the world living in Prince George's County. Let me tell you, we have some of the most attractive people around living in Prince George's County. And so I want the county to look as attractive as the people who are in it. Okay. So I'm very interested in making sure that we are cleaning up our streets, that we are mowing the grass in the median, cutting back the trees. I mean, it's not only just unsightly, but it's also a health hazard. We recently cleaned up a lot with over 450 tires. It was a dumping ground for tires. That now I just got here maybe about 60 or so days ago, or at the time, but that call for service was in the queue for over 364 days. So over a year, this issue had been going on and no one had been taking care of it. And so that's why I put our Strike Force 311 together, so that when these incidents are reported, when the requests for cleanups are made, that we're being responsive. But we had such a huge backlog. We had over 28,000 cases that were open in 311 when I got here. And so we are getting through those cases now with our strike force, which are looking at those backlog complaints, closing them out. We have boots on the ground now, working on any new complaints coming in. But it's a lot of work to clean up, but I am dedicated to the county. And it's the thing that you can see when you walk outside and you see that the county is putting an effort in, then you're going to put that effort in. If it looks like a dumping ground, well, some people think, well, I can just dump here too, and I'm sending a message that no, you can't just dump here. It's a beautiful county, and we're going to show you how beautiful we are. And if you decide to dump or litter here, you're going to be prosecuted, you're going to be fined, you're going to have to pay a price. But we have to show that we're serious about it. And the way that we show is by stepping up to the plate, leading by example, making the commitment, and then doing the work. And we are doing it. We have hired several local contractors, local business owners here in the county to help beautify the county. And they take such great pride in the work that they are doing. So we have, every Tuesday and Thursday, we post some of our cleanup efforts so that people can see the great work we're doing. And in fact, just last week, former Senator Gloria Lawler, she posted a video for us as she talked about how amazing 23rd Parkway looks. She said she lived there for over 55 years and it had never looked so beautiful. She said that, this administration said that they were going to do it and they've done it. And that's what I want people to feel. I want people to know that their tax dollars are working for them, that we understand that they're going to have a bad day if they wake up and see a whole lot of trash. I know I do. So I want to clean that up for them so that they can start their day off in a bright and a good way. So this effort is amazing. We're going to be doing a report on it in a few weeks, just to talk about the, how much progress we've made. But I can tell you it has been significant.
Let me ask you this, because I was struck by something you said, that the tire dumping spot that had been in the queue unaddressed for 364 days. Did you ask why?
Well, I know why. I mean, we looked at the 311 system operation, and it's a great operation. They take the calls, they put the complaints in the queue, they send it to agencies that would handle it, and guess what? The agencies don't always handle it timely. In fact, most of the complaint categories fell into a sort of like turnaround time of over a year. So they gave themselves basically a year to address a complaint. And my position was, well, when someone calls in a complaint, let's say about a tire dumping or trash dumping, it's already overdue because they've seen it. And now they're like, get this out of my way, right? And so we have to think differently about how we respond. So you set up a system, which is 311, and you said, hey, send your complaints here. But then you tell the agencies that handle the complaints, well, you can set your own time frame to resolve those complaints. That makes no sense. So what I said is that we're going to resolve those complaints in a much shorter time. We're going to give our residents, some reasonable time frames to address the concerns that they provide to us. Now, some of them are easy complaints. If it's trash, go pick it up. If it's tree cutting, depending on how many trees and where they are and the condition of the trees, that may take a little longer. If it's a road repair, sidewalk repair, that may take more time as well. But the majority of the complaints, I feel, as we've gone through it, really can be taken care of within a week or two, right? If we were intentional. But because we've let it backlog so much, getting through those complaints, it's going to take some time, but we're doing it. We are absolutely doing it. And in those areas where we've hit, those residents are so happy.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine so. And my mother still lives in Prince George's County, and so these are things that she has asked me about.
Yeah.
And so, that, like former state senator Gloria Lala, my mother's 83, but
Yeah.
her eyesight is still very, very good. And,
That is correct.
and so these are, and like a lot of Prince Georgians, these are certainly quality of life issues. So certainly good luck with your initiative. I wanted to briefly talk to you about your hopes for back to school. He's only been on the job for a little while, but how is Dr. Sean Joseph doing?
Oh, Dr. Joseph is doing phenomenal, right? He is a powerhouse. He came to us as not a stranger. He's someone who'd been in our school system before. And I can tell you that he has worked hard. He's recruited over 700 new teachers, some of whom came from the federal government. They were downsized there, but guess what? They got a lifeline here, and they are now in our classrooms teaching our children. We also have done a much better job than we have in the past of recruiting bus drivers. We still have some shortages, but we are working to fill those. But we are starting off in a much better place than we did last year. And we have much better technology implemented that can, share kind of like where the bus is with parents so that they are not confused about when their child is getting picked up. So the communication is there, the intention is there, the support is there. And Dr. Joseph is someone who a lot of the administrators and teachers really like. You probably remember that right before, I came into office, the former superintendent was basically terminated, or he resigned after a vote of no confidence by the teachers union. I can tell you that Dr. Joseph is working very collaboratively with the teachers union. They're not going to agree on everything, but what they're going to agree to do is come to the table, not allow any differences that they may have prevent us from moving forward in the best interest of our children and the staff that serves our children in our schools. So maybe like within 2 or 3 weeks of him becoming our superintendent, they had reached a consensus. The school system, the teachers and the school system had reached consensus on a new contract. And again, there was like a stalemate that had been going on for probably about 6 to 9 months prior to him getting there. So he's a collaborator. He understands the assignment. He's innovative. He's a community person. People really like him. He's embraced the community. The community's embraced him. So things are going well. In fact, we have a huge immunization effort because all of our students have to be immunized by the 16th of September. So we've hosted immunization clinics across the county. We've gotten great turnout everywhere we've gone. And that's because of the intention that this, a superintendent works with. He is also very collaborative with us, with members of the council, members of the school board. We are a united county. That's what I'm super excited about. We are a united county. For once in the history of Prince George's County, we're all united, and we plan to stay that way.
Let me ask you about some other some other issues. Are you
Sure.
finished? Are you finished with all of your cabinet appointments?
No, we still have a few more cabinet appointments that we're going to make, but we have a good bulk of the decisions made.
You did receive some backlash over your nomination of Dr. Samuel Moki to lead the Department of Environment. As you know, he was, fired from the same department for negligence. Why bring him back?
I think that that's the story of Dr. Moki is one that hasn't really been fully told. Dr. Moki is, number one, a highly sought after professional. This is someone who not only has one or two degrees, he has like 4 degrees, right? He has been a adjunct professor. He has worked in environmental science for a number of years. When he was removed, I believe wrongfully from his position, it was during a time when a new administration had come in. That new administration and him did not see eye to eye, I don't believe, because he did not support the administration that was coming in. But at the end of the day, every single one of his performance records before that time were excellent. He never had any issues. The issue really was around compliance with I think it's an MS4 permit. And this permit requirement was not being met not only by Prince George's County, but by several counties around the state of Maryland and throughout the country, most likely, because of the amount of money it would take to mitigate the stormwater management issues that had grown over years within all of the jurisdictions. In fact, Prince George's County, I think our fine at the time was up to $177,000, something like that. Montgomery County's was almost double Prince George's County, yet no one was fired there. Dr. Moki was a middle manager. The fines and the violations that were found didn't just involve his agency. It was other agencies of county government that needed to coordinate and work together in order to mitigate stormwater management issues in the county. Other jurisdictions, again, had the same issues. And the reason why it came to light at that time is because before then, the EPA had not really been enforcing the permit standards, right? So when they started to enforce it, that's when jurisdictions like Prince George's County were scrutinized, and where we didn't meet their requirements, we received fines. But again, it was up to $177,000. Montgomery County was double that. After Dr. Moki left, do you know what happened? The fines went up. They doubled, almost quadrupled after he left. So he was doing the job that he was doing. He was doing a good job. He cares about the environment. He is a professional. But he's also someone who got himself involved in politics. And sometimes you fall on the wrong side of politics. And so it is what it is. He's been back since he's been back. We have had nothing but good reviews. He has taken that agency and brought it to the next level. I have met with employees over at the Department of Environment. They're satisfied with how things are going. And so, again, I'm grateful that we were able to get someone like him back here in the county to deliver services to us.
Let me ask you about the former Fire Chief Tiffany Green. There is this investigation into hiring practices with Prince George's County Fire and EMS concerning background checks. Now, and as you know, and maybe the public may not fully understand that, even after serving as the first female fire chief and retired in July, she was appointed to assistant deputy chief administrator for public safety.
Assistant public safety director. Yes.
Right. So, but now she's on leave pending the probe. What is the status of that investigation, and what are your concerns about this? That's a really important position, as you know.
Yeah, look, everyone who's hired public safety, we have to scrutinize because they have an awesome responsibility to take care of the people of Prince George's County. And so all of those policies around hiring practices, they're there for a reason. They're there to ensure that we have the best of the best protecting the residents here in Prince George's County. And so there were some concerns that policies had not been followed. There's a routine investigation, as we would say when we believe that there may be concerns around policies not being followed. And she was placed on administrative leave pending the results of that investigation. So that's still under investigation. And at the end, we will certainly let Ms. Green know the results of it, as well as the public, because it's important that we be transparent.
I'm really short on time. I only have some really kind of rapid fire questions for you before
Sure.
I let you go. One word, how would you describe your first 100 days?
Awesome.
Okay. All right. What do you believe is the biggest misconception people have about Prince George's County?
I think what we don't know about ourselves. I think the biggest misconception about is that the people of Prince George's County really don't know how dynamic and how sought after we are. We have some of the best and brightest, most talented people, but we don't necessarily embrace it. So I think we have a little bit of a misunderstanding about how talented we really are, and it's going to be my job to elevate and amplify the people of Prince George's County, because we're where it's at.
Okay. If you could fix one issue overnight that you have not at least spoken about publicly, what would it be?
I think crime, if I could fix crime overnight, because that drives a lot of our other issues, whether it's economic development, and personal safety, and some people, depending on what zip code you are in, you may feel safer than others. So I don't want to see tragedies. I again, having been state's attorney and now executive, I meet with those families, those victims of crime, and no one deserves to be treated unfairly or poorly, or in some cases, no one deserves to die. And so I would fix crime if I could overnight.
Well, thank you so very much, County Executive Aisha Braveboy for Prince George's County. I really appreciate your time. Good luck to you. That is the Daily Drum for this Wednesday, August 27th. I'm Harold Fisher.